Welcome to April Diaries, it's Craig. We have a issue here. It's not really an issue, but it's something I've noticed. We've got mosquitoes, and it's really warm, and we've got a hell of a lot of mosquitoes, like as many mosquitoes as we had at the worst point in summer, and it's the start of November. But usually they would have been dead a month ago, even here, maybe even more than a month ago. People are saying it's pretty strange. It got me into thinking about something I have kind of touched upon in one of the episodes. I was talking about that I kind of, even though I don't like lockdown, the fact I like about it is the fact that I don't really care because I'm at home anyway. I'm not going to be a martyr for other people, and at the same time it gives the world a chance to breathe, right? Well, what if all the climate science people, and let's say all the global warming skeptics are totally wrong, and the climate scientists are totally right. Well, partially right, and it's actually being undersold, and it's a far bigger problem. And that we're already at a stage of no return. What lockdown is effectively a tactic to make everyone not panic, even though it's basically the biggest distraction they can think of, but as well as a kind of a gift to the system slaves, who have no idea, who are all just going in day out, going to work and thinking it's so important, everything's so important, my life's so important, that my function at work is just so important, without me the whole place would crumble. There's the thing that people, myself actually, I used to think, I was a bit of a workaholic at the very start of my career. I had an issue with that, and you really start thinking you're so important, you're an integral part, and when the first time you lose a contract, or you don't get renewed in a contract, or you lose a permanent job, for example, really hits you hard, until you become hardened to it and realize that you're not that important. So same kind of thing. Imagine they let the system slaves off because they know that everything's going to be tits up soon. And if everyone just carried on living their lives, the accelerated process of, let's say for example, it's the tundra, up the Arctic tundra in Siberia, and it's melting away, and it is melting at a great rate. We can see that's happening, and so that's why, regardless of whether the man-made climate change is true or not, you've got to take note that there are things happening that could be catastrophic, whether it's our fault or not. So I don't like to get into these things, because then you get into just moron arguments, where people claim they know everything, they have all the answers. Well, there's some answers we do have, and that is things are happening. Things are dying. We have cost species in this earth. Okay, it wasn't us that killed the moa and the elephant bird and the hast eagle. It was some other entity that's around. Or they just magically died. They just happened to coincide, and they all died around about the same time that mankind went global. Just a massive coincidence, like all these other coincidences out there. The kind of things that most people who, how would you call them? Conspiracy theories, not the same kind that I am. The kind of conspiracy theorists that will believe every single rabbit hole they come across. Absolutely zero discernment whatsoever. They just, I've seen it, it's there, it was told to me, I believe it, it's against the system and it must be true, right? Those people with no discernment, they will already believe that, oh bollocks, I've lost my kind of place in a way, about the, it's getting worse now that I'm listening to the water squishing out there. Right, yeah, so the let's say the Arctic tundra is accelerating in its defrosting, and it's going to let a whole bunch of methane out. And that won't give let's say the billionaires club, all their friends, all their pals, let's say there's a few million of them. Or let's just say it's the Jehovah's Witnesses, there's 2,000 of them going to heaven, I don't know, whatever. Let's say they haven't quite got themselves ready to leave yet. Like the movie Elysium, I think, was kind of based upon this. They had a thing in the sky. Really? Okay. Right. So, yeah, what if that's what's actually just so cute, my little boo-boo. what if what's actually happening is they're just trying to stop us panicking. So rather than telling us to stop working and blah 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 and all this is going to happen, it's run away. We've only got, let's say, even 50 years left. People would still panic. People would still stop doing their jobs anyway. So they're not changing things. So they had to find a way to stop people working, because that's the thing. Everyone going to work, multiply it. If you live in a big city and you have any kind of empathy for the world, and you have a kind of 3D map, one of those brains where you can visualize things, it'd be impossible for you not to have visualized the road, the 6-lane road, the M25 in London, or the I-85 in Atlanta, or something like that, where the places I've lived, and you visualize all the cars in the morning, and you visualize all those cars going like your car. You think about how much you're using per week, and you think about all that liquid that you've pumped into your car, and you multiply it by everyone else that's on the road, people who've got smaller cars, bigger cars, trucks, all this sort of stuff, all different sorts of fuel additives like AdBlue and all this sort of stuff, and all this shit multiplied by these thousands of people in every direction of every motorway in every city, and you really think how much it is that we're just spewing into the air. And this is why these fucking retards piss me off, when they completely deny. Well, I don't really care about saying, oh no, it's not our fault, these are not natural cycles. But the people that say we have zero effect, you're just a fucking moron, right? If you've been to the Yellow River in China, or the Pearl River, any of these, the Ganges, and you look at some of these, even the Hudson in New York, you look at some of these rivers and they're so fucking filthy, it's disgusting. Like the Thames, would you swim in the Thames? Would you drink the Thames water? And most of these rivers in the world, you wouldn't drink them. So we are having a massive effect, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with the climate change thing or not, I don't even know if I do or not when it comes to that, because I do know that there is natural effects. But there has to be some kind of catalyst that we're doing here. There has to be, it's just too coincidental that the very same, within a century of us discovering oil and it going everywhere, within a century of us basically quadrupling our population, it just so happens that we make about 1,000 odd species or more than that extinct, and we also make air we can actually visually see in cities like Shanghai that's just choking us. So it could well be that we were heading to a point that we only had maybe even 10 years left, because I know these projections they give us, oh, it can change from 1 degree, 2 degree, but it could actually change a lot worse. It could be they could know something that we don't know yet. Now, I've seen a story coming out in Australia about the government being involved in cloud seeding and this sort of stuff. I've seen this thing years ago in South Africa on the news, where they were actually trying to seed clouds, and every time they tried to, they put out these firework things and these little planes, the clouds would bugger off, and these South African farmers were getting really pissed off. I've seen the same thing when I lived in Australia. They were doing the same thing over there, right? So the government's been messing with weather for a long time. So obviously the government and the elite are the people who are the biggest polluters. But if they can stop, let's say one billionaire probably makes the same pollution as maybe a few thousand people, right? This is the reality of the world we live in. So to make things better for them, they need to stop about 10,000 people per billionaire to make the world last a little bit longer, so they can afford to finish off their spacecraft or whatever the fuck it is, their Elysium kind of ring that goes around the world, whatever it is they're coming up with. And what we're really seeing right now is a kind of, on you go, take the day off school, the pipes are frozen, just like you would get in school. That's what's really going on. And meanwhile, the situation is because they haven't put in decent pipes in school. And instead, it's like, oh, it's a good thing we got a day off school. Isn't that cool? Oh, the school couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, they could have made decent pipes, or in the case of Earth, they could have stopped burning shit we don't need to burn. And I understand what you're saying. Oh, we need to burn oil. We don't actually need to. I hear this argument quite a lot, and even in that documentary that came out recently, I don't know if it's a Michael Moore one. Yeah, based upon our consumption that we have right now, and based upon the way we're used to living, yes, we kind of do have to have oil. But if you think about things a little more intelligent way, many people have proven, because they're living right now in off-grid homes that run on solar, that run on, but the solar takes this kind of fuel to make, fuck off. Once it's made, it's made. And if it becomes a pressing issue that you can't use a lot of power to make this black kind of high carbon glass that is required for solar panels, solutions always come around, needs must. You know what I mean? When you have no choice, solutions will come around to fill the fill the gap in the market. So I don't buy that for a second. I do know that people can live in a situation where they're off grid. I've practically done it on my bus, but that's just burning diesel, of course. But I mean, you could. I know it's a dumb argument, that one, but the simple fact is that I can imagine it would be fairly easy with what I have in the bus. If I stay stationary, the solar panels can recharge the batteries fast enough. 300 milliamp. So you're talking about 1 amp. You know, if you track the sun pretty well, you can get most things running. Obviously, put more panels. Yeah, you could probably get the air conditioning running all day. You know, it can be done. So what we're probably seeing right now is they haven't even bothered trying. Oh well, look, this whole paradigm we started to farm people to create more of them, so that they would basically chase after consumer products in order to basically make us more and more wealthy, so we're effectively harvesting their energy. That might have just blown up in their face, and they're like, oh my god, the scientists tell us there is no way out. This is it. And as a result, right, let's come up with this pandemic situation of a virus that actually kills around about the same people as the flu, even though we never shut down the world for the flu. And even though the stats in the world, there's like, we have a extremely low count of cancer and all these other deaths now, they've just magically reduced, while this new disease has just magically increased. So perhaps these numbers are a little bit exaggerated based upon the blindly obvious. So maybe it's even less of a mortality rate than what the flu is, but they still wanted to shut down the world anyway. So why would something like that happen? You think the agendas? Well, the agendas could be like the usual one. Every 10 years or every 7 to 10 years, the banksters and the corporations expect the government to serve them the capital of the people with whatever method they have up their sleeve. They expect that you work for us, you will rob the peasants on our behalf. And we saw in 2008, we saw what happened in countries like the United Kingdom, but it happened all around the world. Only countries in the world that jailed the bankers was Iceland. It was the fastest economic recovery in the world because they jailed the banksters, right? This time, something different's going on. They're like looking at their watches. You've made us wait a hell of a long time for this. We resent that. You work for us, remember, governments of the world who are all in cahoots, possibly reporting to one single cartel boss for all we know. There's a lot of things that suggest this is what the kind of world we're living in, but I won't get into that today. But the simple fact that we all know the money system's fake now. It's been shown to be fake because they can print stimulus checks up the wazoo. So even the most simpleton person now has finally, the person who would listen to me in economics class years ago when I tried to explain that money is just printed, it's just made up, and the economics teacher told me, look, it's not, it's not that simple. And then actually it is that simple. And we've all been scammed for, hundreds of years basically for this system. Well, more notably since 1971, since they were gone off the gold standard. So let's just take it from that point. We've been extremely scammed since that point in time, since money's had no correlation to any physical asset or any any valuable asset for that matter. It could be like Bitcoin, for example. So it makes you think, well, if they could just print money like they've already been doing and given themselves, like the Cantillon effect, those that are closest to the money get it when they need it, and everyone else gets it when it's convenient to be given to them, which is basically usually when the prices are high. Well, here you go. Here's stuff to put yourself in debt now and become a debt slave. We'll give it to you now. We wouldn't give it to you when the stock market had a crash, but we'll give it to you now that the house prices are through the roof. There's another trap people just don't realize. This is part of the Cantillon effect. When the market cycles at its end, you get given your loan with no questions asked, even sometimes 0% down, just to enslave you. But generally, it's a little bit down. You know why? Because even if you're going to put just 5% down, once the interest rates go through the roof, that's you lost your 5%, and that's what it's all about, is taking whatever capital you have and robbing you. And the fact that it looks like that's not what's happening, it might be happening this time around, obviously tricking people into they're doing it right now in the UK, for example, trying to trick people into taking the lifelong mortgages and things like that. But I think it's something bigger than that. It could be something. I might be, blowing smoke up your ass here, but it's just a theory. What if the whole agenda behind this is to actually give them more time? They don't give a shit about us. We're the cattle anyway. So it's not like oh, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do. I know they. They is my best friend, and they would never. Not the they that killed millions of people in Libya, or the they that killed millions of people out in Iraq, or the they that destabilized Honduras or caused a coup over in Bolivia recently. They wouldn't do that. I'm getting. It's just beyond anger what you get at normies, how fucking gullible and dumb they are, and more recently, normies in my own country of Scotland actually, aligning themselves with this ultra-left agenda of, because we're ultra-left, we have to believe everything the government says as far as COVID, just wear the damn mask. And you're wearing the damn mask anyway. But you try to tell them, look, it's not about not wearing the damn mask. It's about looking at things rationally. This disease isn't that bad. I've had it myself. It's gone. Well, maybe it's not gone. Maybe it's a bioweapon. It's just gone dormant. I don't fucking know. I won't come up with these, any theories that I don't have any clue on, or there's nothing to suggest it might be happening. It was a very weird. I will say it was a very weird virus that had very strange effects. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's fully shaking, because I still do get the strange pains around my body here and there, and like the joints. I woke up the other morning, my one finger was sore, which happened when I had it, when I still had the congestion in my chest, and it goes between your chest and your nose, really light film of phlegm, not like a normal flu, not like a heavy flu that you get. But yeah, it really could just be to clear us out the way with the War of the Worlds situation, when was it Arthur C. Clarke? I can't remember who did the War of the Worlds. Might be Arthur C. Clarke. Not Orwell. Anyway, War of the Worlds. When they put it on the news or the radio, sorry, people panicked. They thought it was actually a real alien invasion. Some people say that was actually a test by the I'm not sure if it's CIA or something, but one of the authorities in America, to see how the people would react in the event, let's say, if they let us know about aliens that they may have already found, for example. Again, a lot of evidence to suggest that, but then it could just be psyops. It could be Russia and America and other countries collaborating on some of these stories. So I'm not saying the stories are false, with the Russian Air Force pilots and the American and other countries, Air Force pilots from many countries that have seen, there's people like myself from many countries that have seen unidentified flying objects. It doesn't mean they're alien. They could just as well be made by reverse engineered technology. There might be nothing out in space. The aliens that we have here might be coming from another dimension. I don't know. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but we might have completely fucked the world. We don't know. And this is what it might be about. And this is probably why everyone thinks this is weird. It doesn't make any sense. Except the normies who believe everything the government tells them and would never question anything, would never even think of, they see you as aligning with a certain, as soon as you even question something, they'll call you, why don't you go and kiss Trump's ass, or they'll find some other person in the world that doesn't align with it, whoever it is. I don't know, it's funny, they don't talk about Sweden very much. It's the same kind of thing, back in the 2008 financial crisis. By 2010, Iceland had recovered because they jailed the bankers, and Britain and America and other countries were still in a mess because they didn't jail the bankers, the people who caused the problem. And as a result, they took a long time to recover. So this is very similar now. The media completely took its gaze off Iceland. I mean, they were right up until the point where Iceland said we're actually out of recession now. The media was like, ha ha, the BBC were just spotlight on Iceland every day. Second they were recovered, spotlight came off them. Well, it looks like the same thing's happening with Sweden right now. And if you remember my video from June, I think it was, where I was comparing New Zealand and Sweden. Okay, New Zealand's got rid of the virus. Kind of. Keeps coming back. They keep having people come in the country. They've got the country completely locked down. So they got rid of the virus, and they have a population that at any moment could have a massive resurgence because they have zero immunity to it. And they will always have zero immunity to it. And that will give them the excuse to maintain the totalitarian lockdown so that New Zealand can become that perfect safe haven. It'll give New Zealand the what they've always wanted, what the system there's always wanted. It's always been a little hidey hole for American billionaires and multimillionaires from around the world that want to retire. It's always been a retirement home. The city that I lived in for half a good portion of my life, Hawke's Bay, Napier. It's a retirement home. They would never build anything for young people because they didn't want to. They didn't want to make the place better for young people. They want to make it better for old people. So they resent you coming up with ideas. Anywho, that's my theory. Tell me what you think of it. I think it's highly likely. It could be something regional. They don't want people to panic. It could be until they work out some kind of weapon to exterminate everyone. It could be until they work out some technology to live the planet. It could even be something less nefarious for them to work out a technology that will allow them to do massive carbon sinks, like a seen a thing in Iceland, for example, of all places, we're just mentioning it, where they were turning the carbon from the atmosphere into stone. It was quite interesting. There are solutions getting created. Maybe they need more time. They don't want people to panic. I don't know what it is, but it seems to me that the narrative we have all along, people have said this, it doesn't ring true, and the longer time goes on, the less it rings true. The problem is, the longer it goes on, the more people want to double down because they've already had lockdown. Not just the government, the people that have cheered on the lockdown. Yeah, we want the lockdown. In fact, it's not all about money, and it's not all about money. I don't care about money. And to be honest with you, I'm glad the environment's recovering too. That's why I kind of like lockdown for that reason, like I've said before. What I don't like is idiots who think they really know and they want to point to me and tell me why it is. I'm not going to tell you not to wear the mask. I'm not going to tell you not to lock down. And I'll even do it as well, as I've shown in the video. I'll wear this stupid fucking mask so I won't get a €400 fine, right? When I'm out. Most of the time I'll just stay in the village here so I won't have to wear one, right? But the point being is, for whatever reason something's for, I only want to engage with people and talk to them truthfully and honestly. I don't want to say, oh yeah, I'm hugging my girlfriend here because the real reason I'm hugging her is because I actually want to get close to her mum. What if I don't want things to be. I don't want to be living in clown insane world. Now, if the reason that we have lockdown is because something's going on but the weak people can't handle it, I'm not going to be the person who's going to take the weak man's excuse or reason, the mentally weak moron excuse, especially if that excuse might be something that is that's shielding something that is nefarious, that might be a risk to my survival as an individual, or something horrible that the elite are doing. Anyway, that's why it's best to question, have your eyes open, be aware of things, so you're probably the first one to react instead of having the residue of your programming carry on for weeks after the truth is actually hit, which I think would happen to a lot of normies in the event that we find out something really big is happening. I don't know. I've said ages ago, even if it's an alien invasion or something like that, because I said that they've planned that one for quite a while. They keep on talking about it lately. Maybe that is one they're going to bring out the closet soon. Like, here you go, here's our new shiny little social engineering tool. The alien invasion, the fake alien invasion. Whatever it is, but whatever it is not what they're saying. That's it. I'm rabbiting on. I'm going on too much. All right, cheers, bye.